What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing day. If you guys don't know who it is that I am, feel free to take about 45 seconds and check out my YouTube channel. I have a little bit over 120,000 subscribers. We have a little bit over 85,000 members within my private TechBot Solutions free networking group. And if you've ever wanted to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, give me one quick second. I'm sorry. Then I think our group is a perfect group for you. So I hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. And this Sunday Stock Talk, it's when me and my group go live and we come together and we talk about the top stocks that we see value in for this week. So there's, just to keep it very simple, I would like you guys, something that I do with the people within my private group is one of two things. So I think that a lot of people that are just getting started and learning how to invest in the stock market or that are actively trading tend to see a lower form of, or a smaller form of success, because they are very overwhelmed with all the different options that they have in trading. So there's two things that I wanted to recommend. If there's anything that you change for this week, I would encourage you to dedicate about maybe 15 to 30 minutes to go through your watch list and pick out one or two stocks that you see value in that is going to get you to a weekly percentage growth goal. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to talk about a list of 5 stocks that I see value in, and then I'll dedicate the other half of this YouTube live stream for the Sunday Stock Talk, and I'll break down some stocks that people that are joining us live are actually going to be calling out that they see value in. So the reason that this can be so effective is it allows you to become very micro-focused. So instead of focusing on all the stocks that you have on your watch list, you can stay very micro-focused and just focus on the 1 or 2 stocks that you might see value in, and just for this upcoming week. So let's see, volume. Can you guys hear me okay? Let's see. If you guys can hear me okay, feel free to let me know in the live stream. So Leo is asking, can you show your table and how it's made? I actually made it. You don't want to see it. It actually looks a lot better in video than it does in person. So, okay, so yeah, yes, you can hear us. Okay, I'll try to speak up a little bit to make sure that everyone can hear me. Okay, sounds good. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, everyone says that they can hear us. So these are, again, these stocks that I see value in are stocks that I personally see value in, and nowhere are they any stock suggestions. I want you guys to focus on the thought process of and the patterns that I'm focusing on, rather than just the stocks themselves. Because long term, if you're catching this video maybe 1 or 2 weeks later, the stocks themselves are not going to be as relevant to the patterns that I call out. But if you can focus on the patterns, then you can use that as a template to make sure that you implement that to every single other stock that you choose to break down and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get this started. So boom, and then for all those that are going to be asking, I'm using the TD Ameritrade Thinkorswim platform. I'm going to try to go through my top 5 stocks within like 10 minutes, and then I'll dedicate the rest of this live stream, and I'll start breaking down and answering some questions for those that joined us live. So the first one, so one thing that I wanted to talk about was JDST. So a pattern that we called out the last Sunday Stock Talk, so /GC. So I used gold-based futures to see the relationship between the ETFs. So if you guys go to FluxGrid, I explain this all the time, and go to JNUG, we can go on the 180-day analysis, and we can see this pattern. So this is /GC, which is a gold futures, and this is JNUG, which is a bull ETF based on gold. So you can see that it offers a very similar pattern, right? It almost reflects the exact kind of like patterns, right? It's not exact as an ETF does decay, but altogether the inverse ETF for JNUG is JDST. So why is that important to know? Well, something that I called out with JDST that it's been working out very well is this bull flag pattern that it's been showing. Do you guys see? Let me just go right here, charts. So JDST. So this pattern that you guys can see right here. So after I had this sell-off, right, I bounced around $45. It's been building this resistance at $60, and it's been staircasing and building this bull flag pattern for about like 1 or 2 months. And the thing that we saw that it played out perfectly, but I wasn't able to take advantage of last week, was this huge dip that it had. It dipped down to like 52.50. Was able to bounce back and recover, showing the sign of an uptrend, this uptrend staircase pattern. And the really cool thing about this is that, again, it still validated that $60 resistance, but the lows that that JDST continues to make are higher lows. So that's definitely a good pattern that I have been able to identify when it comes down to trading JDST. It did have a little bit of a sell-off on Friday, which offered a lot of intraday opportunity for those that were able to buy the dip. So those that were part of our private group, that was one of the callouts that we were focusing on. But leading up to this week, what is it that I think that might happen with JDST? Looking at the /GC, one of the patterns that I've been able to, well, it's because now this is going to be showing a descending pattern ever since it hit its peak at 1360. So we can see that that has not only been a resistance once, twice, but 3 times. So we called out that resistance level perfectly, but it's also been making lower lows. So every time that it has a sell-off, it makes lower lows than the previous lows. It pushes up, makes lower lows. It pushes up. This time, it didn't actually hit $1,300, but that is exactly what it is that I think that /GC is going to be heading towards. So if you can see the highs that it continues to make right here, right here, right here, and right here, continue to get smaller. So it's showing signs of a descending pattern with the overall support, I believe, at 1,300. The reason that I think it's at 1,300 was based on previous resistance levels, as you guys can see right here. Another very strong support that it's had before is right around 1,300. So 100%, it doesn't mean that it's actually going to hit 1,300. That's just kind of like a goal that I have in mind. And if /GC ends up hitting lows of 1,300, that would push JDST, because this is the inverse, or because this is an inverse ETF based off of gold. This one would end up shooting up to about like $60 to $65 if I'm not mistaken. And why is that important to know? Well, again, I have a goal of making anywhere from about 15 to 20% on a weekly basis based on my overall position size. So just ask yourself, whatever it is that you're investing in, does it accommodate your weekly percentage growth goal? And if it doesn't, then maybe it's not the best stock for you. Maybe you should wait and not take a position. But if it is showing signs of an uptrend pattern, if it's following the pattern that you've identified, and the percentage potential for profit outweighs the percentage potential for loss, then that's something we call the golden ratio that I have found to be pretty effective. So on the dip buys from $55 to the overall highs of about $65, that's about 18.1% potential profit. That's if I swing trade it and only trade it once. One thing that we've been doing so effectively while JDST is showing signs of an ascending uptrend is buying the dips. So every time it hits the resistance, we sell, right? Every time that it gets close to 60, we sell. We wait for a sell-off. We wait for the validation of the bounce. We buy the dips, and then again, we sell. This like 10 to 15% margin. So again, the sell-off that it had to about 50. The sell-off that it had to about 52.50 to the overall resistance that it ended up building right around $60. That's about 15%. Like, that's huge margin. And does that mean that it's taking like 2 to 3 weeks for it to complete that? No, you just wait for the sell-off, because if there's one of two things. So you could swing trade it and just hold it throughout the entire time, and you'll make the 10 to 15% if the pattern performs the way that we expected it to. But if you can swing trade it or short-term swing trade it effectively by being able to buy the dips and sell the peaks, understanding that there's a resistance at $60 and that is, that the overall pattern of this ascending staircase pattern is still valid, it offers about, like I said, 10 to 15% potential profit, and you'd be able to, so just to do the math, once, right, twice, 3 times, and if there's another sell-off, 4 times, right? So instead of just having to have been able to make, let's say on average from $55 to $60, just to have been able to make, the 10%, you've been able to ride this about, 3 to 4 times, and instead of just 10%, you've been able to cover that 4 times. So again, 40%. So that's why short-term swing trading, if you've identified an effective pattern, can be so effective, and you don't have to be trading all different forms of stocks. You just have to be focusing on the ones that the patterns you understand, the ones that you see value in, and that the potential for profit outweighs the potential for loss. So just wanted to cover this one very quickly. The other one that I wanted to talk about is DVN. So the reason that I'm calling this one out or the reason that I see value in this one is it was showing pretty consistent signs of an uptrend pattern. It held very well above the SMA indicator, which acted as a support to this screen line that you see right here. Due to this huge sell-off, it's now building this like cup and handle pattern, which is something that it's something that we focus on when it comes down to overall pattern identifications. It's something that we focus on quite pretty often, and it broke above the EMA. It's been making higher highs and the lows, again, higher lows. So that's something that we've been finding that is, pretty attractive. Based on previous support levels, there's going to be pretty solid resistance based on an old resistance level and old support level right around $34. And that's why you see this little arrow right here. That's actually my alert to alert me when what is it, DBN actually ends up breaking above $33. So I can revisit the stock, see if the pattern is still valid, and see if this is something that I potentially want to invest in. Do I think that this thing is going to, go to the moon? No, but it continues to make new highs. It had this sell-off, and we're all about buying the dip, buying things that are on sale, right? I most likely would plan to sell this based on the SMA indicator acting as a previous support level. It's going to most likely act as a resistance level. And by the time that I think that it actually ends up touching the SMA indicator, I think that the SMA indicator will most likely be right around $36, which is realistically where it had its first resistance. So if we draw this right here, after I had this solid sell-off, you can see that it had, a double top right around $36. So I think that would be my ideal sell point, and then my overall entry would be around the $33 price point. So 33 to 36 offers almost or nearly that 10% potential for profit. And that's why, the patterns, it's a stock that was showing signs of a consistent uptrend pattern. So I feel like the risk level, right, is pretty low. It's not something that's descending. The pattern, the cup and handle pattern, is something that we've traded very often, and that we at least understand that they just have to continue, the candles themselves just have to continue holding above this EMA indicator, and it's been doing that very well as well. And now it's just all about taking action. If it ends up breaking above $33, I can revisit the stock and see if it's something that I want to invest in. The other one that we've been calling out that ended up performing exactly like how it is that we expected was HTZ. This is Hertz. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the car rental company, and it was showing a very consistent sign of an uptrend pattern. Ended up hitting a resistance right around $24 to $26, and now has this horizontal pattern, if you can see right here, from about $18 to overall $24. So we call this one out after its earnings, after it had that huge sell-off, at 18, again, buying it at a good deal, and it's been able to break above $20. It's been able to hold above this 180-day 4-hour EMA indicator. The only thing that I want to make sure that you guys keep a very close eye out for is, again, the SMA indicator, this green line that you see right here with a length of 180, has been acting as a support, a previous support, and is now acting as a resistance, proven right here. Once it popped up, touched the SMA indicator, and then got rejected also due to its earnings, right? So based on the patterns themselves, one thing I do want to wait for is for this, for HTZ to actually break above the SMA indicator, to pull back and to bounce on it, validate the SMA indicator as a support, and then that's where I think that it will continue its uptrend and ascending uptrend pattern. And then with this one, let's say we get in at $22, it's from 22 to 26, nearly 20% potential for profit. That's not bad for multi-billion-dollar, car rental companies, stuff like that. Especially when the risk, I think, is when looking at the overall pattern. Again, a consistent uptrend, ascending uptrend pattern. The risk level, I think, is a lot lower on this one in comparison to a lot of other companies. Now, another one that I wanted to talk about is WTW. So this is Weight Watchers. You guys, I'm sure, have heard of it. But again, SMA indicator acting as a support level. Again, had a sell-off, trying to buy it at the dip or buying it for a deal. And again, a very consistent, no, I'm not focusing on any crazy patterns, nothing like that. If you guys have seen any other call-outs that I just made, I'm pretty conservative, especially because now I'm investing anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 per position. So I want to make sure that the patterns that I'm focusing on are valid and that I'm investing in something that continuously shows signs of an uptrend pattern. Just to provide you, after this, I'm going to provide you an example on something that does not show signs of an ascending uptrend pattern. And obviously the risk investing in that is actually much greater, right? Because it has much more potential to continue to sell off, to continue to show signs of that descending pattern. So we can see the overall support based on previous support levels right here at around $60. Obviously, due to its earnings and the volume, it had a little bit more of a sell-off. The EMA was able to bounce above $60, which is something that we wanted to see. Based on previous patterns, we could see that 65 acted as a resistance level, and that's exactly what I'm going to set. I'm going to set my alert for 65 because I want to make sure that I capture WTW when it's actively showing signs of an uptrend and not struggling to break above a resistance. But from $65 to overalls of 75, 15% potential for profit. For if I'm not mistaken, Weight Watchers has to be most likely a multi-billion-dollar company as well. And again, a very simple pattern. We're getting that cross from the SMA and that EMA, which is, again, validating it as a support. And we just have to revisit this one once it breaks above 65 and see if this pattern is still valid. The last one that I wanted to talk about, this one does have a little bit low volume. And that's why is that important to know? Well, obviously, it could be a little bit more volatile. And you can tell by the candles themselves that it can move around quite a bit. So I'm solely focusing on the pattern on this one and less on the overall fundamentals of this company. So it's Rave Restaurant Group, RAVE. You can see the overall support level at 140, overall resistance level at 180. Do you guys see this very consistent horizontal pattern? Very easy to identify where it normally bounces at. Boom, 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 boom. And where it normally peaks out at. Boom, 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 boom. Nothing fancy, right? Just looking at based off previous patterns, where it normally bounces at. How is it that we can make money off of this? Well, understanding that this is normally where it bounces at, I can set my alert. Look, it's showing signs of consolidation. It's showing signs that it wants to break above this EMA line again and come back up to this $180 resistance. So from 140 to 180, we should have about a nearly 30% potential for profit. But I'm not about like maximizing my I don't want to get in at the lowest price and sell at the highest price. Obviously, that might be what we all want. But what's, I think, the best and most effective strategy? I want to make sure that whatever I'm investing in is showing signs of an uptrend pattern. So what I'm going to do, based off the previous patterns themselves, I'm going to wait for the candles to actually start actively trending up above this EMA indicator. I want this EMA to start pointing up instead of it pointing down. Right now, you can see that it's kind of pointing down. It's a little horizontal. It's right around 150. I want to revisit. I'm going to set my alert. I want to revisit this when it breaks above 160. And then you guys might be saying, well, Ricky, once it breaks 160, it only offers half of the margin. But at least I know I'm investing in something that's actively trending up and that validated that support. So one thing that you guys should know is that when you do your technical analysis and when you formulate your plan, it's good to have an idea based off previous patterns what has worked well for something like this, like RAVE. But just because it's done it before doesn't mean that it has to do it in the future. That's why confirmation and waiting for that confirmation before you invest your hard-earned money is so important. So there's a series of different indicators that we can look at that might give us the understanding that, hey, RAVE might be a good buy. The technicals, right? Overall support, it's at a support level, great. RSI, a little bit more on the oversold side, that's great. MACD indicator about to signal a potential buy signal, right? That's great. The cross from the SMA and the EMA, that's great. But we don't have the actual confirmation that the EMA line is pointing up or that there's actually a price action that's showing signs of an uptrend. And that's all, again, you can use all the different indicators that you want, but no indicator is ever 100% certain. And that's why it's so important. When it comes down to the overall patterns, I would much rather just maybe, give up 5 or 10% of the potential profit that it has to offer when something is offered about, when it offers nearly 30%, and just make sure that I have that full confirmation that what I'm investing in is actually trending up and it's validating the pattern that I've been able to identify. So that's all I wanted to do. I'm going to set my alert for 160. And just because I set it at 160 doesn't mean that I'm going to buy there. If you guys know anything about something that is showing signs of an uptrend pattern, even when it does hit 160, that's great. It can have a sell-off and I can buy at the dip and buy it at 150. Again, it's when you're swing trading something, it doesn't just shoot up, right? That's not a normal pattern. You have to understand the pattern that you're investing in and make sure that you understand the potential movement that it can make while you're swing trading. If you're not patient or you don't understand the pattern, then that's when you might be very uneasy of what it is that you're investing in because you don't understand what it is that you're investing in. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. So can you guys let me know what you guys think about those breakdowns that I just did? So let's see. All right. Let's see. All right, so we have a couple people that are now, let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and start breaking down some stocks for you guys. So we got Matthew, Ricky hit 9%, total account week, 5 trades, 100% green trades. This is really good for me. Posted profits in LPP, so that's learn, plan, profit. Hope you had fun in Mexico and glad to have you back. Appreciate that, Matthew. Thank you again. So first of all, I do want to apologize for all those that have been messaging me within the past 48 hours. I took a trip for spring break to Mexico with my roommates and stuff, and Wi-Fi service was absolutely non-existent over there. There was a couple spots that were free Wi-Fi, but I just didn't trust their free Wi-Fi over there. So I do apologize. I'm going to be catching up on all messages via Discord and my email by tonight. I just have a lot of work that I do have to catch up on. So I just wanted to apologize in advance if you've been trying to reach out to me. That is why, even over Instagram, I've been very limited on what I've been able to respond to. So let's go ahead and start breaking down some tickers. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's break down. So we got someone asking about XX. So we'll break down XXII very quickly. So I'm just going to talk about the overall patterns. this is great. So the last time I think we visited this one, it's when it had that overall support at 250. We said let's wait for the bounce in that uptrend pattern. It's doing just that. EMA line is pointing up. Just know that there is a resistance right around $3, and this SMA is building more of a peak formation. So just note that that might be acting as a valid resistance, and that might what might act as a a catalyst for why this thing would start selling off and start trending down again. So if you have or see value in it around 275 to about $3, it offers about a little bit over 10%. So just make sure you keep a very close eye on the direction that that EMA line is pointing and this SMA indicator. So there's another one that was called out that we called out last week. This is CPG. It had a huge sell-off to its overall support at around 650, and it's been trying to trend up. I have my alert set when it breaks above $7, so I can revisit this and see if it acted as if it's showing any signs of an uptrend pattern. But just know that this one is a little bit more volatile. Even when it does show signs of an uptrend, it does have quite a bit of sell-offs, right, while it's trending up. So just wanted to make sure that that was all understood. So for all those that are asking what program am I using, I've made numerous videos about it's the free software, TD Ameritrade Thinkocean platform. You guys can use it if you guys want to. You guys don't have to if you guys don't. But yeah. So we got CPRT. Let's do that one. So CPRT. So I like this one. It's a very consistent uptrend pattern, ascending uptrend pattern. That's great and all. But just note this, like this SMA indicator has been acting as an overall support. It gives you a pretty good understanding on when CPRT, or when usually majority of stocks that validate that SMA indicator as a good buy. And if you can see, it's way overextended. It's so far away from the SMA indicator. Overextended, right? Far away from this SMA indicator. Don't you think, based off previous patterns, that it's only a matter of time for this SMA indicator to either catch up with it or for there to be a potential sell-off? It's been showing signs of a very consistent uptrend pattern, which is great after its earnings, right? Acted as a catalyst for more volume, but it's only going to be a matter of time for this thing to start selling off and bounce again at the SMA indicator, and that's when, again, the better buy would be. So this is for Copart, so I believe that's the auctions for cars, right, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Someone calling out CGI. Let's check that one out. Okay, so CGI had a very consistent sign of an uptrend pattern. Yeah, we've broken this one down before. Do you see the SMA indicator acting as more of a peak? Do you see how it's building more of a peak? If you were to step back and really look at it, it's building more of a peak formation, which is going to be acting as a resistance. It was this cup formation. Do you see this right here? Cup formation, which acted as a support. Now it's showing a peak formation, which would most likely act as resistance. So just note that that pattern is a risk within itself. Now the EMA is pointing up, and it is trying to build a support right around 4 to 450. That's great. And if it validates that and continues to trend up, then great. Just note that about every 50 cents, there tends to be a margin of like this resistance, right? Every 50 cents. And then watch out for this SMA indicator for the overall resistance on where I think that it most likely will peak out at. I like that. So let's go ahead and I like that ticker, so glue. Okay, so glue was showing signs of an uptrend pattern. A lot of consolidation going on right now. The volume has definitely decreased from its previous patterns. So obviously, I think that that's why there was such a descending pattern on this. It did just break above this SMA indicator, and it is above the EMA. It also just looks a little bit more on the overbought side. The RSI indicator does indicate that. There tends to be a resistance right around 420 to 440. And just based on it being so overbought, I just, in comparison to every other pattern and stock that we've been focusing on, I just wouldn't say that this would be the best potential one to invest in, especially when this SMA indicator is pointing down or kind of like horizontally. It's not actually pointing up. So maybe if that changes and it starts to show more signs of a consistent uptrend pattern, then that would be a valid pattern, I think, to follow. All right, I like that. Let's go ahead and break down forward. Thank you again, bud, for calling that one out. So Danny, appreciate that. So we can see here that Ford had a huge sell-off due to its earnings. Again, it's all about buying something on the dip or buying something when it's a good deal. One thing that I called out before that, again, I'm going to talk about again today is waiting for the confirmation. I set my alerts at $11. It never broke above $11. You can see that it got rejected once and twice already. It's trying to come back up. But again, I don't want to catch it when it's consolidating. Opportunity cost. Just think about this. It's consolidating here, and although this does offer a margin of profit, that's not a very consistent pattern. I'd much rather wait for the overall candle within the overall pattern itself to break above $11 and start actively trending up, kind of like when it's done before, right? It does a lot of consolidation, and then when it actually starts actively trending up, I think the overall pattern is much more valid in that perspective. So SMA indicator, following up with it as well. I would wait for the candles to break above the SMA indicator, which most likely would be at around $11, and for it to be showing less of a peak formation and more of a cup formation to kind of like act as a support. So good call out. UCTT. All right, I'm going to do one more after UCTT. So UCTT. You can see that this SMA indicator has been acting as a resistance. It's been holding this down, but now it was showing signs of a cup pattern right there. It was showing signs of a peak. Now it's starting to show signs a little bit more of a cup. Do you see like this thing forming a little bit more? So what I would do is I would set my alert when this thing breaks above $22 and then revisit this and see if that SMA indicator actually starts acting as a support and starts actively trending up. And if so, then we can revisit this one, and this might be something that we might want to follow up with later in the future. But again, I want to make sure that whatever I'm investing in is showing signs of a consistent uptrend pattern, and it's not just a quick push and then it again gets rejected by that resistance. Let's do one more. Let's see. So we got this one. I like the way that he broke it down. So again, this is the ticker symbol call out format. So SFS, I think we have talked about this one before. So SFS showing signs of, does have its earnings coming up. I would wait out for that. I do like it though, because it's showing a very similar pattern than what it has before. That SMA indicator is coming down pretty hard. Okay, so it has continuously been rejected. It's showing signs of a descending pattern on this 1-year chart. Let's go a little bit further back. Yeah, a very consistent downward pattern. So it's good to know that, right? Obviously, these new, more relevant patterns are the ones that have been in the past, 180 days or past 90 days. It is showing signs of a potential reversal, and it might want to start actively trending up now. I would wait after the earnings to revisit this one and see if we could catch it at the lows like 6 or 650, and see if once it actually starts trending up above. Do you see, again, very simple pattern. Do you see this EMA indicator? It's been acting as a resistance, so every time that the candles go above it, it doesn't hold very well and it gets rejected. Tries to come up, gets rejected, comes back up, gets rejected. I want to make sure that whatever I'm investing in, the candles are above this SMA indicator and that continue to act as a support off of this EMA, so that the EMA continues to act as support as the overall patterns continue to be held above by that EMA indicator. So I would wait for the reversal and that confirmation that this is actively trending up. So this is Smart and Final Store. I'm surprised that they haven't. I don't know when's the last time that I've seen a Smart and Final Store. They were a big company back in the 90s. I don't know anything about them. They're not in my area anymore. So I think that's just showing a valid statement why this is not a long-term investment. It's a quick short-term maybe swing trade because we could buy the dips when there's like those sell-offs, but ultimately the overall pattern is not showing signs of long-term growth. Kind of like Sprint, right? Sprint, if you look at the overall pattern for Sprint, on this 1-year chart, very consistent downward pattern. You have to, and same thing with GoPro, right? Having a strong downward pattern. So, yeah, but that is pretty much it, guys. Let me go ahead and close this up. Boom, boom, boom. All right, here we go. So let's see what everyone else is saying. So I did a couple breakdowns right now, and I know that you guys are asking me to do a couple more breakdowns. All I ask you to do is you guys saw how I broke these down, the patterns that I was focusing on, and how it is that I identify these resistance levels and support levels. Use that as a reference. Use that as a template. Like I feel like I do explain things pretty simple. If you guys think that I can, if there's another form or another method that you think that you would like me to implement when it comes down to doing my technical analysis that you think can be a little bit more effective for you, let me know. Let me know in the comments section. I would love to, try to break down stocks the ways that you guys find it the most effective. But I think overall, based on my previous videos and the feedback that I've received, we have a large number of people that really find the way that I break down stocks pretty effectively. And I think that's what has led to our overall success. Oh, so there's a couple people talking about UGAS. UGAS is showing signs of a downward pattern. If you guys search up ticker symbol /NG, it's natural gas futures. We called out the resistance in advance. I told you guys beforehand that 280 was most likely going to act as a resistance. Why did I know that, or how did I know that? The SMA indicator was there. I have no crystal ball. It's just patterns that I focus on. It didn't have to get rejected. It is now getting rejected. It is showing signs of a sell-off. I think big picture that we might see a balance within UGAS within about 1 to 2 weeks. But again, it's about waiting and validating that pattern. I'll break down UGAS tomorrow since it's a huge stock or ETF that we focus on. Within our group. So if you guys haven't subscribed already, we do go live every single day. I do apologize that I did not go live on Saturday. Again, it was just due to the internet connection, but that's really just it. So if this is the first time that you guys have ever joined us for our Sunday Stock Talk, then thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your day and watching this video. I hope you guys learned something new. And if there's anything that I can do to help you or be a part of your success, then I would love to assist any way that I can. So feel free to comment down below. If you're not part of my free group, again, it's that third link in the description. And for all those that want to work with me on a daily basis and my private group, so speak to me and ask. So you guys know how we're live right now, and some people get to ask me questions and I get to answer it like in real time. My private group, the first link, I get to speak to this group every single day, and it's over voice chat. So the really cool thing about that is that if you ever have any questions in real time and you want to pass, you have an idea of a stock that you might want to invest in, you simply get to ask me over voice, and I respond over voice chat, and we do that every single day at market open. So also I provide a complete step-by-step lifetime access to the Learn, Plan, Profit video lesson library. So if you've ever wanted to get started, I think that's the most effective lesson library out there. So invest 45 seconds of your life. Click that first link in the description. We have a couple thousand members within our Learn, Plan, Profit group, and they can tell you based on their experience. I've received nothing but positive feedback. There hasn't ever been something where not that I've noticed. If you guys don't like the Learn, Plan, Profit, then feel free to let me know. But you guys can see the people that are commenting right now that they really do enjoy the Learn, Plan, Profit group. And altogether, we have the free Tech Bud Solutions group as well. So maybe you're not in the position to pay for the private group. We have a bunch of free content. It just takes you a little bit more time to understand things because it's not straight to the point and structured in a way that I think is more effective. So I'm super excited for this week. I think it's going to be a very big, green week. And yeah, let's just make sure that we keep it consistent. We don't trade based on other people's opinion, that we focus on patterns that we understand. If you guys saw any of my breakdowns, kept it very simple, very elementary, and that's all that you have to do. You don't have to be trading all the different, trendy pump and dumps that everyone else wants to call out. You invest in the patterns that make sense and that make you money. And on a consistent basis, I really think that, once you understand patterns and once you understand risk management and once you have an eye for value, then I think that you will really have a different perspective for investing altogether. And that's what I want for each and every single one of you. And I would love to assist you to get there whenever you guys are ready. So Learn, Plan, Profit is the best. How much is the private group? So all you have to do is click that first link in the description. It breaks down and explains absolutely everything. I think there's a promo going on. I think it ends tonight. I'm not too sure. So you guys can click on the home screen and it'll take you there. So, okay. So you guys want me to play Gucci Gang. So, okay, Google, play Gucci Gang.
Gucci Gang by Lil Pump. Sure. Playing on Spotify.
Yeah, so, and I do apologize that I'm a little bit mellow right now. I'm really lacking sleep. So I'm going to make sure that I get all my work done and then that we get some rest. So, yeah, we're going to go grab some lunch or dinner right now. Thank you guys again so much for your time. Continue working hard. Continue following your dreams. Let your passion be what drives your success. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.